Hey guys, Dion Taylor here. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a product forecast. So this is really utilizing the existing forecasting behavior in Dynamics 365. And this is different from an org chart forecast. So if you're interested, don't go anywhere. So most people probably think about a regular org chart forecast when they think about forecasting, right? So let me kind of show you what that looks like. If I go here to forecasts, this is going to load one of the org chart forecasts that I have here in the system. And you can see this is an old one, but this is kind of showing you all of the sales reps and then their quota, and then the different buckets, right, in the forecast and the monetary amounts against those buckets. And then obviously I can drill into that data. So if I click on this, this is going to show me that underlying opportunity data that makes up the totals here in my forecast. So again, that's a very common forecast, right, where we're going to be able to see all of the different sellers and their quota, their forecast, and how much money we're actually already is already going against that forecast, right? Which you can see here in that one category. Now, what I'm going to be discussing today, like I said earlier, is a product forecast. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is that product forecast, right? So we're still looking indirectly at opportunity records, but we're actually looking at the opportunity lines table, right? That's the underlying data, and we're combining that with the product catalog in Dynamics 365. Now, the important thing here is that obviously you need to have product records in your environment, but the most important thing here is that those products need to have a parent-child relationship. So this means that we're going to have products that need to be tied to a product family. And since product families are located in the same product table that the quote unquote regular products are, we're going to be able to report on that, right? Now, the difference between a regular product and a product family is actually a column that decides that. So I'm actually going to pull up the data here that I've already imported into my system. And you can see here I have 4 product families. So one of them is the furniture product family. And then I'm tying my chairs, sofas, and love seats and my table product families to that furniture product family. And you can see here the product structure column on that product table will decide whether it is a product family or a product. And you also have the option to do, I think it's bundle products or something like that, but we're not going to use that today. Now, again, the reason why I'm using these product families that you see here is so that I can kind of break that out in my forecasts. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be able to actually view the totals per product family as well. Now, I would recommend first basically making this into 2 different data uploads. The first one would be the product family, and then after you uploaded the product family, then you would actually add the products, right? Because we're tying them to the different product families. And then of course, after that, you want to make sure that you also upload the price list items and then tie that to a price list. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to actually navigate here to my products so you can kind of see how that was imported. So you can see here, I have my different chairs here, And those are tied to my chairs product family. And then you can see here it says furniture and then slash chairs. That's because my chairs product family is related to my furniture product family. That's kind of what that looks like. And then you can see, right, all of the products that I uploaded below here. Now, if we go back here to product families, let me just go ahead and, or I can even open this up. You can see here, right, the parent is that chairs product family. And if I open up the chairs product family, you can see that that's linked to the furniture product family, right? So you can see that that one is all the way at the top. And again, if I look at product families and I'm going to look for furniture, let's go ahead and do that. And I want to look at that hierarchy. You can see here, this is my top product family. And then below that, we have chairs, sofas and love seats and tables. And if I click here on this little arrow here, I'm also going to be able to see all the products below those different product families. So that's kind of the first thing that we want to set up. And after we've done that, I'm actually going to show you first what that product forecast will look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up here. Here's my product forecast for fiscal year 2023. So now again, because I use those product families, I now have the ability to not just view the forecast for the individual products, but I can now see, as you can see here on the screen, I can actually now see all of my forecast data per product family, right? So sofas and love seats, I can see my quota, my forecast column, committed, best case, etc., etc. And then you can also see here that I actually added a column that is called product ID, which is coming from the product table. Now, if I expand this, then you're going to be able to see that I'm going to have, let me actually move this to the side here real quick so you can read the whole thing. I can see all the individual products below that, that you can see here it says group, but that's really that product family, right? So I can see per these different seats and sofas, I can see all of the quota. I kept it simple. I kept the same thing for all of them. And again, all of the different forecast buckets here as well. Now, the other thing that we can do here, and you can kind of see that over here, is we can configure drill down, right? So you can see I have drill down per opportunity here. And what that means is that I can actually click here on this little icon on a per product basis or even inside of that group. So let's go ahead and drill down in that group. And what you'll notice now is that you will see the opportunities below, in this case, that group. And then again, I'm going to be able to see the different buckets. Now, if I want to see this information per, let's just go ahead and click on this. If I want to see all of the underlying records here, which we said earlier are opportunity lines, right? This is what you're seeing right here, right? All of the opportunity lines. And this is just a view that you can configure. So if there's additional fields that you want to show on here, you can. But now I can just very easily see, right, who the owner is of the opportunity that these lines belong to, what the name of the opportunity is. You can see here that these two are the same, right? They're both called furniture, and I have a Kirby love seat and a Kirby sofa related to that same opportunity. And then here what I can do is I can group this also by opportunity. So if I do that, you can now see that it shows that data now based on that opportunity grouping, right? But also if I want to expand that, so if I want to view the underlying roll-up records, right, which are the opportunity lines, I can just click on this plus button here, and that's going to take me back now to show me the opportunity lines here. The other thing that you can do here is you can show this as a Kanban as well. I'm going to click here on expand to make it a little bit bigger. And it says here opportunity lines, but you can see here that these are actually the opportunities that those lines are connected to. And from here, I can start moving this thing around or these things around, I should say, right? These opportunities in those different buckets if I want to go ahead and do that. So we keep that type of functionality that we had with the regular org chart as well. And then, of course, we have some additional drill down here as well, right? If I want to go ahead and drill down by the accounts, I can do that as well. Again, this is showing you all of the buckets per account. So you can see here, these are the buyers, the prospective customers, right, of the opportunities that we're tied to. And then again, I can also drill down by user, by owner, basically, right? So now I can see who owns those totals, each of those buckets that you see in here. Some other things that we can configure when we're creating this product forecast is, as you can see over here, we can actually allow this data to be shown in different currencies, right? So for example, if I want to show this in euros, I can just go ahead and pick a different currency here from the side. Another thing that you can configure is actually the ability to update some of these totals, right, in these committed best case pipeline, etc. If you want people to be able to manually update those, and I don't have that configured over here. Let me see if I have that over here. I think I do. Just want to show you what that looks like. So you can see that it now actually shows this adjust button over here because I enabled this particular column to be updated manually. And I can click here on adjust. I can enter a value. I can add a note here. And then I click on adjust. And now I have this data manually updated. So you can do that on a per column basis as well. Obviously, forecast, this is a calculated field, as you can see. This is committed plus 1 equals the forecast. But you can still see that it actually, I actually have the ability to update this as well. It's just with the prediction column that you can't really update this, right? Because this is based on AI. And then we also have the ability to show some of this data in a trend chart. I'm just going to give it a second here. So you can kind of see what happened here. You know, this is an old forecast, so I don't have a lot of data in here. And then we can also configure the system to take these snapshots in time. So what I can do with that is I can then actually pick a date and compare the sales data of this forecast, right? So I'm going to hit apply here. I'm not sure how much data is going to be in here, but yeah, there's not a lot in here. But so you can see here on 9/14, we had 10 opportunities, and you can see here this was just one. So let me see if I can actually go to my product forecast, even though I just set this up. So I doubt that there's, a lot of data in here, but this is really kind of allowing you to review what happened over time. You can see this is just a couple of days here, so nothing really has changed, but that's kind of where you can go. And then you can even drill into that as well, right? So if I want to see, hey, what exactly happened, I can click on that, and then I can see what the values were at the beginning, at the start, so at 10/29, right over here, and the values. And then also I can see the end values, the different dates here, and the forecast category. But you can see again that nothing really has changed here. So because I just set this up earlier. All right, so now let's take a look at how exactly we can configure this product forecast in Dynamics 365. So I'm going to navigate here to app settings. And then if you scroll down, this is where your forecast configuration will take place. And you can kind of see here that I've already configured it, but let's take a look and see what that looks like. Now, if you start a new product forecast, all you have to do is basically click on this, right? And that will start that forecast configuration. You can see here, since this is a product forecast, my roll-up entity, my hierarchy entity, and my roll-up to hierarchy relationship has already been selected. So the only thing I have to do here is select that top of hierarchy. Now, again, since we're actually looking at products here, this is where we're going to select that hierarchy in that product table, right? Which is my furniture was on the top of that hierarchy. So I would actually enter furniture over here. And now you can see here in the preview what that's going to look like in that forecast, right? So I have my furniture, I have my tables, my sofa and love seats, and my chairs. And then I can expand that to view the underlying products here, right? These products belong to this product table. And then I have sofas and love seats, etc. Now, I'm not going to reconfigure this. I'm just going to open up my existing one so you can kind of see how this was configured. So I'm going to, again, start with general. Again, you can see here my furniture is on the top of the hierarchy. And then I actually used advanced scheduling here. This just gives me some additional options when it comes to setting some of the periods, the start dates of each of those periods, etc. So you can see here that I'm calling this fiscal year 2023, and I have a start date, right? You can see that here, and my end date. And then I also selected 4 periods. So the system will automatically calculate the start and the end dates for each of those periods. And then on the next screen, what you're going to do here is, as you can see here, select a lookup field of user type on the hierarchy and entity or table, right, that identifies who the owner of the forecast is at each level of the hierarchy. So this really is giving people access to it, right? So we have the product as that hierarchy entity. Remember, we set up that hierarchy with the furniture and then the other families and then the products below that. And by actually populating this user lookup field, we're going to identify who the owner of the forecast is, right, at the different levels of the hierarchy. Now, I have it set to none because the owner of the products, in my case, is not going to identify the owner of the forecast. So I'm just going to leave that blank or set that to none. But I can actually select additional security roles who I want to give read access, right, to this forecast. Now, in this particular case, I'm saying everybody can read the forecast, but you can also specify particular security roles if that's something that you want to do. And then what you also can do is you can actually share or allow people to share this forecast with others. And then you can also see here that it says read and adjust. And that's kind of what I showed you earlier, right? Am I going to be able, or are these folks going to be able to update some of these columns in that forecast? So that's what that is. Now I'm going to go ahead into the layout section, and this is really where we are configuring some of that behavior. Now, as you can see here, it shows an option set here, and this is actually tied to the opportunity table in Dynamics 365. It has that forecast category that you can use here in that forecasting table. Obviously, if you don't want to use that particular option set, you can create another one or change the option set from here as well. But I'm just going to stick with that option set. So what I did here is I kind of, you can see here that I'm kind of configured these different columns from that option set. And you can do that by just clicking here on this gear icon. And you can see here the forecast is actually a calculated field that's looking at 2 other fields, the committed field, so data in the committed column plus data in the 1 column. So these 2 are being summed up, and that's what you'll see in the forecast. Now you can also see here below, this is where I'm going to set whether or not I want to allow folks to adjust that column, the value in that column manually. And then again, right, do I want to show the progress compared to the quota? You can turn that on or off. And do I want to show that particular forecast category or column, I should say, in that trend chart? So you're going to be able to really configure that for each of those columns. Again, unless you have a column that is actually, you can see that over here, or no, it's not in here. If you have a prediction, then that's not going to be something that you can you can update or anything like that. So the other thing I wanted to mention is I actually added a column here. And if you look at this, I actually created this column, which is hierarchy related, which means this is a field from the product table, right? We all know that there is a product ID field on that product table, and that's what I'm going to be showing over here. Now, if I cannot, can I expand this? Let me see here. Yes, I can. So now I can actually see that product ID here directly in my forecast. So again, if you want to show additional fields from the product table, that's something that you can do as well. And then you have to enter a name for that, obviously, as well. So the next thing I'm going to show you is now the filtering of the data. Like maybe this is data for a particular type of opportunity, for a particular type of product. This is where you can filter that out. So here are your hierarchy filters, which means that this is going to allow you to filter out the products that you want to see in this forecast. Now you can see I didn't do that, but you have the ability to do that. So if there are just certain products that you want to show in here, not all of the products, this is where you can filter that out. And then below that, you can see here that we can also apply roll-up filters, and those are related to the underlying data, right? So that's really related to the opportunity lines. And then of course, we can also add some filters for opportunities as well. Then the next page is going to allow you to have that drill down that I just mentioned. So by default, we only had account and user as drill down, and then I actually added a drill down which was a custom drill down, and that's my opportunity drill down. So if you click on that, you can kind of see here that my general properties show that we want to drill down by entity, and I actually selected opportunity. Then I needed to select the amount data, which you can see here, the only option I had here was opportunity line. So that's what I selected. And then all you have to do is select that relationship between the opportunity line and the opportunity, which is again, only one relationship is available. So that's how you can set that up. Then the next page is this is what we saw earlier, right? Be able to pick a date and kind of compare the data from the different dates. So you will need snapshots for that. And that's what you see over here. I can enable or disable the snapshots. By default, it's disabled, so you can just enable that from here. And then the next thing that you can do here is you can auto hide the parent row. So you can kind of see here if you have duplicate rows that appear directly under parent rows where there's no quota, simple columns or underlying records available to show for that row. So what that means is that, let me actually go back here to my forecast, my org chart forecast. So you're going to see that the org chart forecast, I'm just going to give it a second here. The org chart forecast, if I go back here, we have these different groups, right? And that's really based on who the manager is. So I'm the manager of David So and Molly Clark, and then David So is the manager of Teresa Testing, Rob, Pike, and Chris. Now, in this particular case, David So himself also has a quota of $200,000. If he didn't have a quota, right, if his quota was just the total of his direct reports, which would be $600,000, then you could leave this blank. You could leave this as a 0, right? And then you will not see that line. That's what that means. So let's go back here to app settings and back to my forecast configuration. Now, in this particular case for this product forecast, we are not going to have those duplicates. So I still have it enabled, but I I didn't really need to do that. And then that multi-currency selection, right? I showed you that earlier. If you want to show those monetary amounts in a different currency, then you definitely want to turn that on. And you also see here that it shows here that that conversion happens in real time. And then do we want to set the Kanban as default? So these are those underlying records, right? Do we want to show them as a list view, or do we want to show them in that Kanban view? Now, note this is still in preview, but you can enable or disable this as well. And then some default selections, right? Do we want to group by a certain attribute? And what is the default underlying records view? So that's what you can pick here as well. And then if you want to customize the underlying records by adding some JavaScript, you can do that here as well. And then the last thing you have to do is there's actually going to be a button here that says activate. So you can then activate that forecast. And once that's activated, you can then download that simple data column template. And I'm actually going to show you what that looks like. So let me pull this up. And this one's already filled out. So this will all of these columns will show $0. So what I've done here is, first of all, you can see here it has two different tabs. So here I'm going to enter what the quota is for each of those products. And you notice that for the product families, I actually have 0 in there. And the reason for that is because that's what we're going to enter on the quota parent tab, right? What is a total value and how does that roll back up? So what I've done here is, so for example, for chairs, you can see here it says $75,000. It's because all of those chairs, I have 15K for all of those. So if I sum that up, you can see that here, $15,000 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 75K, right? So this is where you're going to enter those amounts for that parent record, right? For that product family that this data is related to. And then all you have to do is you can see here, it says click to upload new data, new sample data, or drag and drop the template here. So this is where you can just drag that Excel sheet on here. And once you've done that, then you're going to be able to see the quota amounts in that forecast. And you can go ahead and change this at any point in time as well. But what will happen then is you're going to be able to then see the data in that quota column, right? That's really coming from that Excel spreadsheet. That's what you see over here. Let's go back here to my product forecast. Here we go. And those parents, right, this is really what's rolling up from the underlying individual product forecasts. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss another video again. Thanks for watching, and until next time.